Hello, welcome to the Cosmosis Mentoring Center. I am Ségolène King, and today I'm going to speak to you about a winning attitude for success on the path. A winning attitude will make all the difference between success and failure. Your attitude and your perspective has a great impact on your experience. Really, your attitude and your perspective define your experience. If you have a negative attitude, if your perspective is really pessimistic, your experience will be one of challenges and difficulties and pain and more problems than solutions. So your attitude and your perspective of life and your experience and what's happening to you and what you're doing about it is very important. This is actually a very empowering insight because your attitude and your perspective is up to you. You choose how you perceive things. You choose your attitude towards life and towards your experiences. And that is one of the first steps when you embark on the path, and especially if you work with a coach or a mentor, as we have at the Cosmosis Mentoring Center, you need to understand that your attitude is up to you. That you have the power to choose whether this journey is going to be graceful and beautiful. Of course, it will be challenging. You cannot grow past your self-imposed limitation without some amount of challenges, but a positive attitude will make all the difference. If you have a negative attitude, the journey is going to become a lot more difficult. There's going to be a lot of kicking and screaming and a lot of pain and a lot of going around in circles. So as you embark on the path, please adopt a winning attitude and a positive perspective. Well, now, what does that mean, a positive attitude, a positive perspective? Well, it doesn't mean rose-colored glasses. I need to really make that very clear. A positive attitude has to be firmly grounded in perceiving things as they really are as much as you possibly can. That means that you need to commit to wanting, desiring, and loving the truth above all things. Above your illusions, above your comfort zones, above your comfortable little lies, or above your avoided and denied aspects of self. The truth has to be more important to you than all of these things. If it's not, then you will continue to invest your time and energy in those lies and illusions, avoidance and denial. That's not the way to grow on the path, and that's not the way to actualize any decent level of self-mastery and psychological clarity within yourself. So very crucial, positive attitude and perspective, and the love of the truth. A love of the truth is also going to help you to perceive the aspects within yourself and within your life which you have avoided and denied for a long time. Now, what is avoidance and denial? Avoidance and denial is the process that we use as a coping mechanism to deal with the challenges and hurts of life. When something gets too much, be it physically, emotionally, mentally, we just switch off. We become unconscious. We just deny it. We push it away. We look the other way. We just don't want to face the reality or the experience of these challenging events in our lives. Now, what it does is, as we keep experiencing challenging times in our life and the painful feelings associated with that, and as we keep avoiding and denying those feelings and those issues and pushing them away beyond the realm of our conscious awareness, we have more and more and more of ourselves that becomes behind those walls of avoidance and denial, beyond the realm of our conscious awareness. A problem with this process of avoiding and denying and going unconscious as a way of coping with life is that the more we do it, the more we become unconscious. The more we switch off to experiencing the reality of how things really are in those difficult moments, the more we actually continue to switch off to reality of whatever is going on in any moment. The experience of avoiding and denying becomes a little bit like a funnel. The more you do it, the more your ability to perceive the truth of a situation becomes limited. And that means the truth of a situation outside of yourself or within yourself. And that's how we end up being a little bit like icebergs, where we Our sense of who we are is only the little tip of the iceberg. It sits on the surface, it's looking beautiful and sparkling white, but underneath the surface of our conscious awareness is this mega monster of ice, of frozen feelings and frozen denied issues that we have all but forgotten about and we do not want to see. Now, we all have that. And one of the first steps of really embarking on the process of becoming who you really are is to recognize that that part of the iceberg under the surface is there in you too. That is what you need to work on, is becoming conscious of what is underneath the surface, making it conscious, and working on healing, feeling, and releasing all of these unresolved, avoided, and denied stuff. Stuff being the technical term. Now, when we avoid and deny throughout our lives, we become more and more invested in keeping those hurtful feelings and painful memories and experiences away from our conscious awareness. What that does is cause us to become defensive of our walls of avoidance and denial. It just keeps building up, and the more it builds up, the more we feel like we couldn't cope with all of this mountain of denied feelings. So the more we become defensive of it and invested in keeping all these denied things away from us. It becomes this scary monster that we are not willing to face. Now, believe me, from my own journey as well as the experience of anyone I have worked with for some number of years now, it's never as scary as it seems. As you start to face the layers of untruth and illusion and avoidance and denial that you have built over your whole lifetime, one at a time, you start to become more and more aware of who you are, and you start to become more and more and more of who you are. However, this becoming more process is about becoming less. It's a process of unbecoming. The path is not a journey of piling on more layers upon yourself, trying to find new ways of being on top of who you are. It's really about unraveling all this baggage. When you remove all the layers of false identity and fear and old hurt, what remains is the diamond inside. As you start to make room by clearing out all that fear within yourself, you make room for the truth. You make room for the bigger self of which you are, the spirit of which you are just a part of, to pour into all this free space that has been created from releasing those fears and those baggage feelings from the past. If you engage on this path with a teacher or a mentor, and really there's only so far you can go on the path without the assistance of a teacher or mentor who is a few steps ahead of you. And once again, be in discernment when you choose a teacher or mentor. Make sure that they walk the talk of what they preach, that they demonstrate the qualities and behaviors that they teach their students to embrace, and also make sure that they're really dedicated to empowering you to be as great as you possibly can, and not dedicated to keeping you as a little student beneath them for the rest of your journey. You need to really unfold within yourself, and there will be a time where perhaps you will not need a mentor, and so you will be able to fly of your own two wings or move on to a different teacher and a different mentor that's once again a few steps ahead of you. The goal is not to get just this far to not upset the teacher or stay below the level of the teacher. The goal is to be as great and radiant as you possibly can. And so be ready also to know that you may have more than one teacher in this lifetime. You may outgrow your teacher and move on to a teacher that's a little bit ahead of you again. Part of working with a mentor or a teacher is being coachable. Now, being coachable is a lot of things. What does that mean? It means, first of all, coming with an empty cup. That means come to the relationship of the mentoring and teaching without thinking that you know it all. Just allow yourself to let go of what you think you know, to make space for the truth to be realized within you. Now, within that, there is a balance. Of course, you need to remain in discernment. Don't just be completely gullible and take on all kinds of really strange teachings that do not feel right in your heart. You need to use the discernment and wisdom of your own knowing deep within your heart. If something really doesn't sit right within your heart, then keep your bullshit detector on, because in the end, You need to always have your discernment on. So let go of what you think you know, but stay in discernment within the heart. The process of being coachable is also about having the courage to follow through with facing these avoidance and denial, these demons within. To make room for great light, you need to face the darkness within. Being on a path is not all about jumping around with fluffy bunnies and being happy singing with the dolphins. That's all wonderful, but we need to get real. Remember, we need to make space for the truth. We need to make room for the true self to be realized, and that happens through letting go and unraveling. Now, a coachable student will be grateful and appreciative for the teaching received and for the opportunities that present for you to face your self-imposed limitations, to face your avoidance and denial and your fears. Now, if you use this process of being grateful and appreciative of any experience that happened in your life, whether it is painful or it's pleasurable, it's fun or it's really difficult, you can turn everything into a blessing. And that is a real key to remember through your attitude and perspective of being grateful and appreciative and perceiving that there is a gift within everything that happens to you. You can turn any curse into a blessing. That's part of a winning attitude. Another aspect that's very important is taking responsibility. There is no room for victim consciousness in the life of an initiate. Now, victim consciousness is about, I can't do anything about it, it's not my fault, or I can't change this, life is like this and there's nothing I can do about it. That is not a winning attitude. Being a victim disempowers you. You can claim that power back. No one is taking that power away from you. It's about shifting your perspective of yourself and of your life around and remembering, I can turn this into a blessing. I have the power here. I am not a victim. I have the power to choose my attitude, to choose my perspective, and to turn this into a blessing. We don't always have the power to control what happens in our life, but we always have the power of choosing how we respond to it. And if you really remember this in all moments, even in those moments where you want to indulge in a pity party and feel sorry for yourself and blame everyone else, if in those moments, especially those moments, you remember, I am not a victim, and you take responsibility, bring it all back to yourself, and remember to be appreciative and grateful and reclaiming that positive, optimistic, joyful attitude of, yes, I can turn this into a blessing, you will go a long way to traveling the path in a graceful manner. The path is about letting go and making room, and it's also about expanding. The more you need to expand into the greater self of all that you are, the more you need to let go of the small self. All the limitations that you experience in your life are limitations that you are allowing to happen. Apart from certain limitations like there's only so high you can jump, or you can't survive falling down a 50-story building, there are really a lot of limitations in your life which are just in your head, in your perspective, in your attitude. So once again, if you adopt the right attitude and perspective, you realize that these limitations are self-imposed. And as you start to let go of this, you become bigger, you become greater, you hold more space. And there will be key times in the journey where you will have to really let go of who you have been before. Because who you have been before, that sense of identity, has become obsolete. It no longer serves you. It has become too small for how big you have become. And so you have to be willing to let go. In those moments, you cannot have any attachment to your sense of self. That sense of self is not really you. It's just an identity, a sense of personality that you have built for yourself as a way of expression. It's like a mask through which you express and show your face to the world, to others, to society. Now, as you become more and more the true self of who you really are, those old expressions of how you have chosen to express yourself, how you have chosen to be, become not so much in line with who you are now. And so you have to be willing to let go of this. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how uncomfortable it makes the other people in your life that have known you as that old person, you have to be ready to let go, and only then can you be reborn into the new. Only through the ashes of dying to your old, smaller self can you be reborn into your greater, expanded self. And so the process can sometimes be a process of death and rebirth. It is a transformational process. Transformation is about going from one state to another. And sometimes that transition and transformation happens through dying to your old self and being reborn into the new. You have to know that that will happen. It's not going to be right off when you begin. When you begin, there's a lot of shedding your consciousness into those hidden parts under the surface and becoming more aware of all the baggage that you really carry, so that you can really then feel it and let it go, making room for this wonderful, true new you that you really are behind all the layers. Eventually you will get to those intersections in your process, but don't panic. By then you'll be a lot more ready to let go than you may feel now. Another and final very important aspect in the process is to build your relationship with Spirit, or the universe, or God as you call it. The universe truly is a benevolent place. The universe has your greatest good at heart. Now, it may not always be what you want, but it's always what you need. If you remember that everything that happens in your life has been presented by the universe as a gift for your greater good, once again it helps you to overcome those challenges and see them as gifts rather than terrible curses. The universe wants you to grow into being the best you can be. That goes against the grain of living by your lies and self-imposed limitations and denial. That means that any experiences, relationship, person that's going to trigger you and bring up these reactions of defensiveness around your baggage and your avoidance and denial is actually a wonderful gift from the universe to help you to become aware of this baggage so that you can transcend it and let it go. Anytime you have a reaction, anytime you get triggered, there is anger or sadness or defensiveness or wanting to play small and hide or feeling less than, all these triggers that are really not about love, that are really not about enlightenment, they are not horrible things to judge and be ashamed of. They are signs that show you the way to these layers of untruth and baggage that you need to find to be able to feel and clear and let them go. So every time you experience a trigger into something that's less than the vibrations of unconditional love, gratitude, compassion, humility, all these wonderful qualities which have to do with self-mastery and enlightenment, every time you experience such a trigger, remember, bring it back to yourself and see it as something that's guiding you to a place within you where there is an old issue that has been pushed behind the surface that you maybe didn't realize was there before, and it is an opportunity for you to heal that, to clear it, and to let it go. Now, if you apply all of these attitudes and perspectives and understandings to how you approach the process, you will be able to go a really long way and to be very successful with the process of embracing self-mastery and spiritual actualization here in a grounded, real, authentic way in the body. At the Cosmosis Mentoring Center, we teach and offer services to help you just do that. We have a team of mentors, which are all qualified in coaching and mentoring, and also often have other modalities such as healing or psychology or medicine. And all of these mentors can assist you from a couple of steps ahead on the path to start that journey. And all of them can assist you to develop and strengthen this winning attitude that will allow you to be as great and shining and amazing source of love on the planet as you can be. That's what it's all about. It's not about escaping to rejoin spirit somewhere else. It's about bringing the love and radiance of spirit right here in yourself, embodied, grounded, sharing it with the world in selflessness, in service, and just loving. So I hope that we can see you soon at one of our transformational events or online. Do visit our website and keep on loving. Thank you.